All right, I'm going to move on to examples 3 and 4, and those are going to go much faster because the longer portion was sort of to lay the groundwork for what we're doing. We're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and just simplifying our expressions. The only difference with this is it's going to get a little more complex, but not really. These are all skills you've learned, and you're going to see what I mean in a minute. It's just combining things that you have done to arrive at the same goal. So here are two polynomials, one polynomial, a rational expression that consists of a polynomial in the numerator and one in the denominator. And we need to simplify it. And in order to simplify it, we need to factor it on the top and the bottom with the hope that we're going to get an x plus something or x minus something that maybe we can cancel. So let's look at this one and see what we can factor. And I can see that if I have a -5 and a +2, I'll get a -10, or the reverse, I get a -2 and a +5. But I'm going to pick the -5 and the +2 because I know that -5x plus 2x is going to give me a -3x. Similarly, on the bottom, I'm going to try to factor, and I know that either 8 times 1 is 8 or 4 times 2 is 8. Well, clearly 4 times 2, if I add them in, are going to give me 6x. 4x plus 2x is 6x. And once I do that, I can see right away that I have an x plus 2 over an x plus 2 that can be canceled. And my solution is x minus 5 over x plus 4. Now, I'm not quite done because I have to state my excluded value, and looking at this, once it's been factored, I can see that my first excluded value is -2, and my second is -4, because those are the two values that will make the denominator 0, which are really the zeros of the function, of this bottom function here, right, or the x-intercepts. That's all that we're finding, and they're just the two numbers that would make this undefined. And so we need to say, okay, x can be anything except -2 or -4. All right, that is example number 3. And I'll go ahead and practice below in a minute, but I'm going to do just a different version of this. In example 4, which is very similar. You'll see what the difference is in just a second. In the numerator, I have x squared minus 7x plus 12. And in the denominator, I have 16 minus x squared. Now this does require, remember what we did in chapters 9 and 10, because you have to remember how to factor. So you have to remember all of those rules. So let's look again. Numerator. What are the factors of 12? Well, I have 1 times 12, I have 2 times 6, I have 3 times 4, and so what's going to add up to 7? Well, clearly 3 times 4, but it's a negative, so -3 times -4. And in the denominator, I have 16 minus x squared. Don't know if you remember the difference of 2 squares. This is the kind of thing that you need to remember at this point. But here's a square and here's a square, difference of 2 squares. And if you remember, when you factor the difference of 2 squares, one is something plus something, one is something minus something. And it's going to be 4 plus x and 4 minus x. Now, we've seen something like this before, because essentially what I do in my head is like, what a shame, because I have an x minus 4 and a 4 minus x. Couldn't I just find a way to make this one on the bottom x minus 4, and then I could cancel? Well, actually, there is a way to do that, because all I need to do is I need to factor out a -1. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this with the numerator x minus 3 and x minus 4. I'm going to switch the order and just keep, let's see, 4 or x, and I'm just going to reverse the order, x plus 4 over here. But here I'm going to factor out a negative number. And that negative I'm going to put up here instead of right in front. And when I factor a -1, and I'm going to just circle what I'm factoring it from just so we're clear. When I factor this out, I'll put this on the side, 4 minus x. If I factor out a -1, I get x minus 4 times -1, right? And so all I'm going to do is move that negative to the front because order doesn't matter, commutative property of multiplication, and x minus 4 is here. So essentially all I've done is separated this negative and put it here, put the x minus 4 here just so I can see how neatly it is below the other. And I now am able to cancel. And when I do, I end up with x minus 3 in the numerator, x plus 4 in the denominator, but I have a negative out in front. The whole thing is negative because I factored out a -1. Now I keep thinking I'm done, but I'm not, because what did I not do yet? I did not yet find my excluded value. And so I need to go back and look here at what I factored, and I can see clearly that if I have either a -4 or a +4, I'm going to get 0 in the denominator. So my excluded values are 4 and -4. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and this video here. I'm going to give you an optional video going through guided practice 9, 10, and 11. You don't have to go through it, but if you want to make sure you're doing it right, it would be helpful. And then I'll end with just a couple minutes doing example 5. It's very quick.